Hello everybody, we are going to have some small scale fun today. I had to fix a water line again, and well, now the hole needs filled in, and the little 425L skid loader has not worked in a while, so I think it's time for it to go out and do something, run some fresh gas through it and all that. Actually fired it up yesterday while I was doing between a couple of different things and didn't film it. But it's ready to roll. Oh, a little history on this boy. Let me see. I bought this. Well, a friend in Iowa, who shall be named Blaine, called me up at one point and said there's going to be this auction, and at it is this little white 425L skid steer. You need to buy that. Like, that is neat. It would look good in my collection. It was all the way out in Iowa and everything, and I hadn't called the auctioneer or anything, but Blaine called me a day or two before the auction, says, hey, you're gonna look into that skid steer, trying to get it. And I said, well, I just hadn't followed up on it any, it's getting too late to do a phone-in bid. And he says, I'll cover you, tell me what you want to bid. So I told him what I was willing to go to. He goes to the auction. They go to pull it out of the barn, it come out like 20 feet and died, and they can never get it started again. So needless to say, I got a pretty good deal on it. Another friend by the name of Mike, who also lives in Iowa, was at that same auction, and he had room on his trailer, so he was able to haul it back to his place for me until I could make time to go out to Iowa and pick it up. And I did a little measuring, little checking on the literature, how much it weighs, how big it is and everything, and it looked like it would fit in the box of a 1-ton Chevy pickup. And let's see, it weighed about 3,300, I think is what the literature said the base weight was, shipping weight. So we drove out to Iowa just in time for the Iowa State Fair. Mike was nice enough to even put us up for a couple of days. Thanks, Mike. We took his payloader and put the forks on it and ran them under the roll cage, which, as I said, it's designed to withstand the weight of the machine rolling over. It ought to be able to withstand the weight of the machine picking it up. So we lifted it up and backed the truck underneath, and it was almost a perfect fit. I've got pictures, but in order to get the tailgate closed, we ended up taking the counterbalance weights off, because it gained us, what, 1.5 inches, but that was all it took to get the extra distance so we could close the tailgate. I was able to strap it down to the fifth wheel hitch that I have in there, gooseneck hitch. So, and between that and the other anchors, had plenty of stuff tied down. There was one time we were driving in town with it and light changed on me and I hit the brakes and it never moved at all. And it actually rode really nice. It was a good weight combination for this 1-ton truck. As they say, if it fits, it ships. So we brought it home that way rather than hauling a trailer all the way out to Iowa. And that worked out really nice. Got it home and did a little fidgeting, and all it was the points were stuck. It has an Onan 2-cylinder air-cooled engine, 25 horsepower. That's where it gets the numbers from. It's a 4-wheel drive, 25 horsepower loader, powered by that Onan opposed air-cooled opposed 2-cylinder engine. Right back in here is the oil cooler. The air going in for the air-cooled engine goes through that and helps take heat off the hydraulic system. I did get online. I was able to find a new set of points and condenser for it. But all it was just there's a little rod that comes off the cam shaft that opens and closes the points. There's actually it does not have a distributor. It has, let's see, maybe I need to get a flashlight out here. It has a coil with 2 plug wires coming off from it. So every time it fires, it actually fires both spark plugs. But since only one is on a compression stroke with fuel and air mixture, the other one doesn't matter. It's firing on an exhaust stroke. So it doesn't hurt anything. Saves the expense of having a distributor. So pretty slick design, I think. I've rebuilt the cylinders. There's a video on that on my channel. And it's small. There's not a lot of room for a big guy like me in there, but it's still fun to run. The muffler that was on it was pretty well shot. I went to TSC, and what is this, an 8N muffler or something like that, but it fit. It kind of gets the sound up a little higher where my ears are. So a little hearing protection. Need to find something that keeps it down lower, shoots it back here. That might help with the sound levels. But it works. That's part of the part of the goal. New air filter, new hydraulic filter, changed the oil, and boy, let's see, a chain on one side needed tightened up. Just little stuff. And it seems to be a good little thing. I don't use it a whole lot because it's little, but it's still fun to run. I don't know, it just kind of caught my eye. I'm glad I bought it. Well, I got a pretty good deal on it, I think. Little history on it. It's made by a company called Ericson. And let's see, there's a tag up here. There was a tag. There it is. Made by Ericson Corp, Minneapolis, Minnesota. They actually made skid steers for quite a few companies. Ford is one of the common ones. And so they made a couple of different sizes, at least this time for white. There was this 425, and then there was a 430, which, 5 more horsepower doesn't seem all that much in the scheme of things, but the 430 was physically quite larger. It had a Wisconsin 4-cylinder in it, so it probably had a little more guts. This might have 24 horsepower, but that's like, 25 horsepower, but that's like the high end. That's just kind of, it makes it work, but it gets the job done. I think it'll even, I can't remember, well, it fit in between the wheel wells on the pickup. So it's less than 4 feet, or yeah, because it can fit a sheet of 4-foot wide drywall between there. So handy for small areas. I think they might have even made some of these for Gale when Gale was first getting into the skid steer business. I could be wrong on that. Welcome any corrections down in the comments. Oh, tiny skid steer. I was going to play with you last summer. Had it out, had a hole to fill in. I thought, well, that'll make for some fun video. And I'm pretty sure the chain drive in this side set up somehow or another. Chain probably hopped off. I knew it was in rough shape. I drew it up and tensioned it when I first got it. This side was dry. There's supposed to be oil in there, and I put some diesel fuel in to help, I don't know, kind of splash around and help wash some of the crud out, and figured eventually I'd get around and put new chains in there and the diesel would help clean it up. And well, now we're to that point. I can't really play with it when it only drives on one side. And it's really handy for cleaning up around the yard in the spring because it's lightweight. It doesn't cut up the yard like the Gale does. Just fun to drive. So now the responsibility falls to the forklift. The forklift brought it out here. It'll take it out to the shop. It's an industrial day here at Losie's home for Wayward Olivers. First, we'll see how well the forklift wants to start. A little less choke. Okay, maybe turn the gas on. Then choke. A little less choke. There we go. There we go. Now it's got some gas, but not a lot. I also figure I'll put the dyno back in here for now so it doesn't get overspray paint on it. Well, let's start with getting this side up in the air. Can get the wheels off. That'll make easier access to that plate because I got to reach in there to do the chains. Fun, fun, fun. I can hear the chain in there doing some kind of dance. Well, I want to get it out of there. I don't think I have enough on hand. I do have some used chain from the 8570 Combine. It's not in terrible shape. I always tried to keep that one changed pretty regular. I think is the right size. I could throw that in here for no more than this gets used. But I might have to buy some. And Mrs. Oliver guy thinks I need to drive her somewhere tonight. So I guess we'll keep going. Well, this side totally freewheels, like there's no chain on it at all. That one will go a little ways and then you can hear the chain kind of grab. I'm trying to remember if there's 3 chains in there. We'll find out in a moment. A lot of the Gales had 3. There'd be your hydrostatic motor, and then it'd go up to a reduction gear, and then each wheel would come off that reduction gear. So there was 3 chains. I guess sprocket would be the right word instead of gear. This is YouTube. If I don't say the right word, someone will correct me. And there we go. A chain not laying where it should be. And it's filthy. But my diesel fuel stayed in there. Okay, this should be, yeah, this is the drive motor. And then there's your tensioner up here. Yeah, this is only single reduction. Who knows, I may have to open the other side up just so I can get the routing right. Although I do have a microfiche for this. Well, that's probably about as good as you're gonna see right there. Let's see what we can fish out. Nasty. Yeah, I should have put the, I guess it's still not too late. Well, it's somewhat too late. Put a pan under there to catch the slop. There. Doesn't that look better? Less of a mess on my floor. It's already a mess. Oh yeah, it was stiff. It was time for it to change. Rusty. Pulling that out without tying a rope on it or something, but I couldn't see the other end. Yeah, looks like the master link gave that up. But man, yeah, that really did. I had to drive away before it failed, so it must have been flexing at least some. Yeah, it can't be all of it. Or can it? There's the remains of a half link. That split open. That might be it. I think that is. I do believe that's what happened. That half link just popped off the pin. And that was all she wrote. That probably is it. Well, I can count links and replace it. Now, getting all the filth out of there could be interesting. I don't recall there being drain plugs underneath. If someone wasn't thinking there, they probably figured single-use item. Yeah, boy, she's dirty. I think the diesel fuel helped loosen stuff up. Maybe that was a bad thing too. Yeah, I can get the sprocket right there. That wheel bearing feels fine. This one feels fine. Well, would you look at that? That's number 60 chain. That's what I took out. I was thinking about putting 60H back in. But this is, I stopped at 144. There's a few links more than that. It's probably about 150 or 152 links. So it's long enough, I guess, is the gist of it. I'm not going to cut extra off right yet. And then I also got thinking, if I take those bottom bolts out of the axle supports, those go right through. They should act like drains most of the way anyways. So let's try that. Not the end all of drains, but I can take some more diesel fuel or mineral spirits or something, try to clean that up a little better. I have to get something to put under the back and get that draining. But that's progress. Maybe finally flush it with a little, maybe some used oil to flush it some. And then finally good oil. Might have to reach in there. I know if I put a towel on the sprocket, it'll drag it around and probably get wedged in there. But it might wipe things out while it's at it. Brushed in there some. Spray some dirt be gone in there. That cleans things up. The sprocket here, the idler sprocket, feels good. But that at least is replaceable, even though the pivot it's on is not. Not without some custom work. But I think what I'm going to have to do to really get it cleaned out, it's definitely a gritty, dirty stuff that's in there. There's some dripping out. Now that I sprayed that brake clean in there, brought the level up, there's still, I don't know, better part of an inch in there of diesel fuel and gritty crud. So I think what I'm going to do is go through here, drill a hole in for a drain, and I don't know, this really ain't thick enough. Might put a pipe or a pipe plug in it, thread it, but I'm also thinking I could just put a carriage bolt down through. That way it's smooth in there, not catching a chain if it happens to sag a little bit. I can put some silicone around it and then just put a nut on the bottom side and tighten her up, and it should be good. But I might try the putting some threads in there, because that would definitely make it a lot easier. Could pull the drain plug, and depending on how good I get it cleaned out, I might throw that used chain in there, not this one that came out, but a different one, where I can put some more diesel fuel in and run it a while and then drain it. And but feeding that chain through is probably going to be a bear. So probably want to put in the chain. I'm gonna, that's going to be its forever home before it's all said and done. So yeah, drain hole. Then we'll try to flush it out with some more diesel fuel or something. Sounds like a plan. We have a hole, but we don't have stuff flowing out of it. We probably need a bigger hole. Let's see what size bit I need to drill to put a 3/8 pipe plug in there. It might be thick enough to withstand that. Okay, it says 37/64 for a 3/8 pipe tap, which is bigger than 1/2 inch. So this is like slightly under 1/2 inch. I don't think I have a 37/64, but I got a 9/16, which should be pretty darn close. Well, that's big enough for some of the sludge to start flowing out. Maybe I should go to 1/2-inch pipe thread. Well, that's 9/16. Pretty darn close. Close enough where we can put some fuel in there and clean that crud out. It's flowing somewhat. Fish around in there with a magnet, get any of those metal filings and bits and pieces of who knows what out of there. Nasty. That looks like a ball from a ball bearing. There's a couple of them in there. I'm going to assume, since the bearings seem to turn smoothly, the axles, someone had it apart before. And did not do their due diligence on cleaning up afterwards. And the teeth on that sprocket look okay. There's no looseness. So yeah, I would say an old repair. And then maybe that's when they, failed to put oil back in. And that's when the chain started going downhill. Who knows? Let's see what the front half holds for us. It's getting there. Oh yeah, there's some sludge. Look at that. I think what I need to do now is clean up around that hole, tap it for pipe threads, put a plug in it, and then I can put some mineral spirits or diesel fuel in there, something I can swish around and loosen up all this crud, make it so it's more runny and comes out. This oil stinks. It's actually the next day, and I've washed my hands a bunch of times, and if you've ever smelled old gear lube, well, you know what this smells like, and it just does not come out of your fingers very well. It seems as though all the let's play along. All the 3/8 taps have gone the way of the dodo, or the 10mm socket. But there's just none to be found in my stash or my brother's stash. Is this the battery that was dying? No, it's got two. Come on, drill. I've decided we're gonna go with a 1/2-inch drain plug, because definitely got a 1/2-inch pipe tap. There we go. And my brother had the right size, the 23/32 drill bit, so we should be good there. And there's a decent amount of meat in that steel down there. Yeah, that's thick enough. I was kind of worried it was not thick enough to handle tightening up a pipe thread, but it's a little thicker on the bottom there. There, she's cutting now. You see it down in there. Pipe plug installed. How far does it stick out? Let's get some light so we can see. I'm a little crooked. I might want to tap it just a little deeper so that plug ain't hanging out where it shouldn't get grabbed, but a little bit more wouldn't hurt it. I've been swishing around, put mineral spirits in there. My plug seems to be holding. fished around a lot with a magnet, stirred stuff up, tried to get it all in suspension so it drains the best it can. Definitely gonna be a lot better than it was. Probably gonna be hard to get it all out. But now that I have a drain plug, I could run it some and do an oil change. That's already looking a lot better. I'm thinking perfection is probably an impossibility in this job. But that can drain for a while. And I do believe I have an operator's manual, and hopefully that has the chain layout in it. It should have instructions on tensioning the chain. Let's see, I'm thinking, I know you draw this bolt up to put more tension. So that means the chain's got to wrap around it. I bet it goes like that, up over the back one, all the way under the front one. And then what did I say? Then it would come over this one. Over this one and back around and over like that, is my guess. I've got my fishing lure. A nut tied on a baler twine. My thought is I can toss the nut over the axle and then grab it with the magnet from underneath, and then I can tie the other end to the chain and you know, pull it out or pull it around, and then getting it on the sprocket shouldn't be too hard. Just getting over and getting it drawn from, you know, down in there or down in there into the middle where I can work on it. Got my chain cut to length, so not sure how good a view you're gonna get here. And I thought I'd stick the camera in there for a moment. Everything's of course filthy, oily, but that worked. I tied the twine, or kind of hooked it on a sprocket tooth and sent it over with that nut on it. I was able to pull it forward with the magnet. Had the other end tied on the chain so I could pull the chain around and keep it in the sprocket. So now I need to kind of do the reverse and throw this over the top of that one and then hook it back on again. So I got on hook, and I guess you'll have to take my word for it. Not a lot of room to see. Don't want to get the camera that filthy. Okay. Magnet. Try to keep my leg out of the way. Hey, look at that. I got it. Be a lot easier with the chain still intact. You just hook the new chain onto the old chain and just roll it on through. But when it breaks, that's a different story. Don't want that to fall off. Just grab it. It's on the sprocket. Love it when a plan comes together. Well, that's quite a bit of difference. But I know the adjusters run up quite a ways because the chain was pretty whooped. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's quite a gap. I either do not have enough chain or I've got it routed wrong. What do you think? Okay. Popped off the other side. So let's see, the top of the rear sprocket goes under the drive motor. There we go. Goes under the drive motor, up over the tensioner, and then over the top. And I got the bottom part right. So I'm thinking it's probably that other chain was shortened up because it got so stretched or something. Let's try it. And that's solid, but you got the draw bolt pulling up against the chain, pivoting. There's oil down in there. I checked this one. I checked both of them, and that's how I found the other side was kind of dry and a little loose. So I tightened it up, put diesel fuel in it, and expected it to, you know, splash around. All right, let's see what I can do. When I say that comes around and over like that, I think what I'm gonna do, ouch, is put that there for the moment, untie my twine, connect these two chain ends together, and then cycle it through. And that way, if there's any like humps or something where the, you know, the chain is bunched up like that somehow or another, we'll get it out, hopefully. I'm trying to keep some tension on it, so any links that are doubled over might undouble over. Now I gotta keep an eye out for the master link. There it is. We made it around the horn and it didn't get any longer. Yeah, that definitely needs a few more links. Well, crud. One more filthy tool to clean. I'm gonna move this. That should help hold this up here. Well, now we got to put the half link in, which I had one before, so not a big deal. There. Yeah. Starting to look like something. Like dirty, filthy hands. Yeah. Ow. But I got it. Okay. Just needs a little more tension on it. Get that free play out. I think it'll be good. Man, goes easy enough. Can I find something so I don't have to get another wrench dirty? Oh, a little bit of slack in there, but not too much. She gets jumping. I think that'll work. Once again, wow. Now I can put my drain plug in, put some gear lube in. These pants might have to get retired. But the string and the magnet and the nut, that trick worked good. Wish it looked as clean as the other side. But here we are. I'm just gonna, hopefully, oh, if I hold this with my leg, and that with that, and oh, that's plenty. That chain is submerged. I think one of the jobs this little baby's gonna do is take stuff out to the dumpster. Okay, I think we're ready to try the old girl out. First, let's check the oil. Somewhere between low and full, that's adequate. Let's check well, that's the gas. We want to check that too, because something tells me there's not much in there. And hydraulic, there's the dipstick. Oops, slightly over full. I can live with that. And let's see, let's check the coolant. Feels all right. And gas. This has got the old-fashioned kind of gas gauge. Can't remember if it's metric or standard. Well, there's about 5 inches. I guess it's a standard. It hasn't run since last year, so we gotta get the gas back up to the carburetor. There's probably one more thing. A battery. Okay, don't try this at home, kids.